Top 10 Best Sorceries of Elden Ring after the DLC Spell Edition. In my latest video I said that Bonk is better than Pew Pew from far away, but I cannot say Pew Pewing is not very effective. I chose to keep the pattern I followed on my last top 10 video, so I will rank these sorceries using 3 categories: against bosses, in duels, and in invasions. The reason for this division of PvP in duels and invasions is because some spells may be good in invasions, but not very good in duels. I'll try to use more examples of this division during the video. My favorite spell is high on this list, and I can guarantee it is no accident. Without further ado, let's jump to the number 10. Number 10, Run is Darkmoon. This spell creates a Darkmoon projectile that temporarily reduces enemies' magic defense negations. A curiosity of this spell is, the Darkmoon dispels all sorceries that touches it, so if you use it when almost being hit by projectiles and other attacks, like the Redden Comets, it protects you from receiving the hit. In every fight it is good to start with this attack, get their magical defense down, and then smash other spells, because its cast is too slow to use it very often. It's hard to hit another player, so it is good to apply some pressure because it has an AoE that can hit from small distance. Number 9, Shard Spiral. Fires twin projectiles that form a spiral as they travel. This spell is good to use from afar and let it put some pressure on the other players in PvP and cast something else while their attention is on the Shard Spiral. If you use it in 1v1 situation, you can benefit from this spell also using it as a pressure tool more than to cause damage. Against bosses that don't move a lot, it will continuously damage the boss until it reaches its maximum distance and disappear. The downside of this spell is, sometimes you think it should be just a tiny bit faster. Number 8, Rock Sling. Pulls a clump of rocks from the earth and sends them flying. This sorcery can be cast while in motion. This spell causes physical damage and also has a high poise damage. It can be a good option against almost every boss of the game. The downside is, if the boss moves a lot, the rocks may miss the target, and the cast is a bit slower than the average. In PvP, it can be a bit tricky to hit the other player, so a nice option to evade this is casting right in front of their face, because the rocks will follow backwards. It can be a good choice to fight enemies that dodge spells like NPC invaders, as they react to the cast itself, not what this cast created. Number 7, Gravitational Missile. Fires a gravitational projectile that pulls in enemies before finally exploding. Can be cast facing to the ground, in which the orb will immediately explode, skipping the pulses. This spell is amazing to hit multiple people in invasions when you aim it at the floor to work as an explosive area of effect. In duels it can be predictable, so a nice option is to hold a bit before casting to mix up the timing of the explosion. Number 6, Comet Azure. The classic Kamehameha of Elden Ring. The Comet Azure can be amazing if you want to cheese bosses that don't like to move a lot, like Moog for example. Using it with Terra Magica and Cerulean Hidden Tear Physic that gives you infinite mana for some seconds, you can simply melt bosses. The direction of the beam cannot be adjusted. It has very slow casting time that can be easily stopped. As the beam cannot be adjusted once cast, the spell will only work against slow-moving enemies or very large ones. In PvP, it does not perform well because it is a bit predictable and you cannot change the direction once it begins. A nice option is trying to combo with something that sleeps or stun in place or narrow spaces. If you are enjoying the video so far, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps my channel to grow here on YouTube and for it to recommend my videos. Thank you for the support. Number 5, Comet. The Comet spell has one of the most balanced speed and damage of the game, because it fires so fast and hits so hard other players and bosses. Once casted, it becomes a damage locomotive, because if the spell hits the enemies, it keeps going until it hits a wall or reaches its maximum distance. In PvP, it is a great option to punish heals, but 1v1s it can be easily dodged, so try to time your moves. This thing fires very fast and multiple times, so when combining with its great damage, it is easily one of the best spells of Elden Ring. Number 4. Swift Glintstone Shard. This little piece of spell can be so annoying, especially in PvP. When used in a good mage build to enhance its damage, the cheap damage it does becomes a threat even for bosses, because you can shoot so many of these that the damage per second is amazing. It costs low mana, low stamina, and you can shoot it running and jumping, so it is an amazing option to use in invasions and 1v1s. Unlike many sorceries, this can be cast from horseback without slowing down, making it very effective for field battles where high mobility is important. The reach is not amazing, but its speed compensates the lack of range. Number 3. Night Comet. Fires a semi-invisible magic comet. This sorcery can be cast repeatedly and while in motion. Like other comet spells, will penetrate targets until it hits a barrier or maximum range. NPC enemies will not dodge the spell, making it a superior option against bosses who consistently dodge attacks, like Malenia. This spell is best for PvE. In PvP, it's nice to chain cast a lot to make pressure, and if it hits, does a large amount of damage. Number 2. Impenetrable Thorns. It is a sorcery but uses only faith. Wounds the caster to unleash trails of Erdtree impenetrable thorns from the ground. Inflicts bleed buildup. Each trail hits 3 times, dealing up to 153 bleed buildup per cast if standing next to target. When fighting bosses, you have the possibility to melt them down by just simply casting this spell multiple times. If the boss is weak to bleed, it becomes even better. It's nice when fighting against stationary bosses. In PvP, it's hard to hit. A possible situation for you to use this sorcery is when ambushing the enemies or fighting narrow spaces, so they cannot easily dodge the spell. It is a bit slow, so it can be difficult to hit the other players. In duels, it is predictable, so you have to mix up with other moves as well. And finally, for number 1, Carrion Slicer. Conjures a magic sword and delivers a swift sweeping slash. This sorcery can be used without delay after performing another action. This spell functions mostly like a melee attack, so it can be parried. You can perform running, jumping, rolling and backstab attacks, where it has the same animation, but a significantly faster startup than the regular cast. This slicer can do anything, but it cannot perform ripostes or backstabs. When you equip the right talismans and put enough points in intelligence, this spell is one of the highest DPS outputs in the game. The Carrion Slicer has the highest magic damage per FP ratio out of all spells in the game. For PvP, it is incredible because it is very fast and has a high chip damage per hit. You only hit the player when near them, and it becomes a nice option because it comes out so fast, and combining it with its poise damage, it can be an incredible spell to spam in front of them. For this reason, it is my favorite spell of the entire game, and I use it in every situation I can. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you like my content, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.